The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.
Let's go! What's that? It's gonna be a football game tonight now. No doubt. It's gonna be a football game here. Okay. I done been here before. All right, let's go, baby.
Toss to White. He's in! Patriots win the Super Bowl! Brady has his fifth! What a comeback!
Watson, touchdown! Hunter Renfrow. Little man makes another enormous play. 1 second remaining.
Ladies and gentlemen, football to the max.
Your host, Sean Garmer, Gary Vaughn, and Randy Isbell.
Hello and welcome to another Football to the Max, as the New England Patriots have just won against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Tampa Bay, 19-14. It's been about, I want to say, an hour since the game ended. And joining me here, Mr. Erik Watkins.
A lot of people are going to be very angry at tonight's result. I'm kind of one of them only because, well, I'm saving my drinking for tomorrow.
Yeah, if you're a Bucs fan, you got to be angry at Nick Folk for missing 3 field goals in this game, and they're pretty much the story here. I don't think you can really blame. Certainly, I don't know you can blame the defense. They were getting that pass rush on Tom Brady pretty well. They were consistent throughout the game with that. He got hit a lot. And, you know, New England's defense certainly stepped up and played a lot better on this Thursday night. Lots of 3-and-outs for Tampa Bay, but still, they had many opportunities to win this game or have leads in this game or just, you know, make this a different game, have a lot more pressure put on New England. But Nick Folk, how do you miss 3 field goals? You are that bad. The only reason you have a job is because the guy that they fired is even worse than you. And
yeah.
It's just kind of sad that Tampa Bay couldn't go find somebody else at this point.
Well, they kind of did, but kickers, we've seen what's happened with Robbie Gould. We saw what happened with Roberto Aguayo even in Chicago. I mean, if Lawrence Tynes didn't have to deal with that MRSA, he would still be kicking right now.
Yep, but hey, things happen the way they happen. I cannot imagine that Nick Folk has a job after tomorrow. That's probably the news that will come up pretty quickly, I'm assuming.
Yeah, and who do they sign? That's the problem.
Well, they certainly won't be signing another kicker that we're going to be talking about in a little bit, because another team that has kicker problems has finally decided to get rid of theirs. But, you know, let's look beyond Nick Folk's 3 field goals. Obviously, they stand out because that's 9 points that you didn't put on the board. That obviously would have been the difference here to get you the win. And on the other end, Steven Gostkowski puts in 4 field goals, 4 for 4, no issues. Just got to hurt on that end. But I mentioned the Tampa Bay defense from the beginning. Interception on Brady on that first drive. They were forced him into 3-and-out. They sacked Brady quite a few times. They forced a fumble. I mean, I don't know that you could have asked any more from that defense than what they did. They forced 4 field goals instead of getting touchdowns. I mean, certainly not on the Tampa Bay D here. What do you, Does this surprise you at all? It seemed like lots of people were surprised at the pass rush they were generating. It's amazing how bad this Patriots offensive line has become. Oh, but did you put yourself on mute on accident?
No, my normally reliable Xfinity Wi-Fi connection somehow crapped out.
Your Wi-Fi connection is just a joy. So
Yeah, I know, I know, I know. Tonight it has really not been kind. I don't know what it is.
well, is the Patriots offensive line it's crazy how bad they've gotten.
Well, I mean, it allowed Tom Brady not just like 3-4 sacks, but potentially kind of vicious. I mean,
Brady had to run quite a few times
and I'm not
and
saying
had
this
to
was
take nasty tackles.
yeah, like aiming to take him out. I'm not saying they definitively were, but they went in that and for a while I thought, Brady may not finish this game. I mean, luckily for the Patriots, he did. But I'm also noting one other trend here. The Patriots have allowed all 5 opposing quarterbacks to throw for 300 yards. All 5.
Yep.
When is the last time we've seen this happen with this sort of Patriots defense?
Last year, it wasn't a thing about yards. It was they just didn't allow a lot of points.
Right.
So, I mean, they did that in this game. That was the best performance they put on, I think, all season. But it's also due to, some errant throws by Winston, some drops as well. You did see Stephon Gilmore and Butler play a bit better in secondary on coverage. But when, Deshaun Jackson got going in this game for it seemed like the first time all year with Winston, they controlled Mike Evans a lot more, which I think you got to give the defense credit for that. But another thing, you mentioned Winston going over 300 yards. Doug Martin comes back and he was gashing the Patriots defense.
Especially early on. I mean, they thought that you would have them bottled up, maybe 1-2 yard loss, but all of a sudden, boom, 10 here, 10 here, 8 here, and then that finally the opening touchdown for the Bucs, jumping over. It's like, wow, welcome back.
Yeah, it's amazing how much different it is that he's playing. And, Jaquez Rogers kind of did fine while in his absence. But this felt like, all right, he's been suspended, he's motivated, he's ready to go. And he showed it in this one for the most part. But again, I just want to mention this on the Patriot defense. Aside from the missed field goals, which were 2 of the last 4 drives for the Bucs, you then had that touchdown by Brate that made it close, and they even got that ball back at the end. And that defense should not allow them to have gotten to the 18-yard line and even had the opportunity for that last play. Honestly,
No,
but
when it was very obvious, especially Tony Romo even said this on the broadcast, the 2-man coverage on the outside near the sidelines, trying to guard Tampa Bay from getting out of bounds. What were they able to do very efficiently those first couple of plays? Get chunks of yardage and get out of bounds.
Yep, they were relying. I think it was sort of one of those like that's so much easier to pass on because at that point, they're just trying to make sure they don't get the big play. You're allowing things to go through the middle. Deshaun Jackson ripped off that big one, too, which that helped him a lot. He saved my fantasy day with that one because he was kind of having a rough one. And I was like, oh, should have taken him out. But he pulled through in the end. I think for the Patriots, the offense looked a lot more. I mean, they're always dynamic, right? They always get their points in some form or fashion. They're going to go up and down the field. They did that here, but we saw Dion Lewis running better. Gillislee was running a bit more as well, and Amendola was pretty much the savior for the most part for the Patriots because he was making the big catches. They just kept getting called back for penalties, which that was hurting the team as well. And looks like we might have lost Erik here. Yeah, I mean, it was really just it looks like we got Erik back here. So, it was really the Amendola show. He just kept getting his catches called back for some kind of dumb penalty, which was hurting the Patriots. That really, I think, hurt them the most. I think it was like 5 different first downs for the Bucs were given by penalties on the Patriots. Defensively, and then offensively, they kept, because of that pass rush by the Bucs, they kept holding or clipping and it would negate big yards. So it was really sort of just James White and Danny Amendola carrying it in the absence of no Gronk and no Edelman.
Yeah, and I also saw an unusually high amount of hands to the face penalties.
Yeah, that too.
That seemed weird, especially given the Patriots' level of discipline, but okay. I mean, for everybody that's saying this team is different, for everybody saying that Brady's lost a step, number one, I don't think he has, but number two, this team should easily be 2-3 right now. I don't think we're seeing the same mystique that we've seen even leading up to last season. And if that mystique isn't there, then the entire AFC really becomes that much more wide open.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the team is obviously different without Gronk on the field. They show that stat of, I think, no throws to tight ends at all. Obviously, this is where, it would have been important to keep a guy like Martellus Bennett. You didn't do that. You decided to keep a Dwayne Allen, who, if he was on the field, I didn't see him. And, that's the thing. You're throwing to your backs, and you're throwing to, the Amendolas. And for, Amendola's credit, he did everything he could. Chris Hogan as well. I just think you're putting Tom Brady in that kind of position as well, where he's missing some big targets that he's used to having. He has played, I think they mentioned, 31 times without Gronk, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And that being said, I agree with you, though. I don't think it's Brady on this one. He is 40. We have to remember that.
Yep.
And when the offensive line's not blocking, he's not a runner. And that makes it a lot easier for the defenders to get at him, and it creates issues in the coverage, because if you are able to get a rush on them and then you're covering most of the receivers, if they don't get any of that separation, it's a lot easier to bring Brady down than, say, even a few years ago where he could move a little bit more. But he's also not used to that offensive line just being this bad, where it seems like almost on every play he's having to run or move or something.
Yeah, he's having to run, he's having to move, and with a short week, you automatically know, okay, both teams are going to play a more base defense. New England played zone most of the night because it's pretty simple assignments you don't have to practice. And even with that, Tampa Bay clearly had a little bit more of an advantage with their defense, even though they played it much softer at times and got burned for it, because their pass rush was exponentially better.
Right. Yeah, I just think that, like you said, this is going to be a fight and survive Patriots, at least throughout the season until if they can ever figure out their offensive line issues. This might be a team that we see a lot more of these scores because Kowski's kicking more field goals, and you're seeing less touchdowns, especially if Gronk doesn't play. And I'm sure this won't be the last time we're hearing of him injured. He gets injured quite a bit. But credit to Brady, credit to the team for hanging in and winning. And they are now 3-2, and they move along. And Tampa Bay losing here on a game that they probably felt they should have won, even if you don't include the field goal misses. But that's sad when you can't rely on a field goal kicker in the NFL where that's so important, and these games can be separated by that much at times.
Exactly, and I mean, it seems like whoever does kick for the Bucs, they've been terrible.
Absolutely.
So that's why, hey, who are they going to sign?
Well, as I mentioned, they won't be signing Nick Novak because he has been signed by the Los Angeles Chargers, as they finally waive Young Hoku on Thursday. You know, Young Hoku's obviously he's the one that had his kicks blocked. That's not his fault, but he did miss the game winner against the Dolphins. And then he's, only been able to make attempts that are under 30 yards or so, which that should be chip shots at this point. He is young, or he's young for a kicker, 36 times. But hey, Nick Novak, he's an experienced kicker in the league, and hopefully it helps the Chargers in the long run.
Experienced kicker in the league, experience with the Chargers.
Exactly. That matters as well. But at the end of the day, it's about making sure you get it through the uprights and not missing. And that's something that, let's be honest, that we saw Mr. Harrison Butker win a game on Monday, a guy nobody knew about. More often than not, a lot of times, kickers come out of just off the street and they end up doing better than some of these veterans. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's when you have guys that only have really one job, a lot of them do it better than others.
Certainly, and I think the only thing we got to talk about before we get into things we'll talk about during the previews here is Carolina Panthers adding Jarius Byrd to their secondary thanks to the injury to Kurt Coleman. He was with the Buffalo Bills, where he went to the Pro Bowl there. He was with the Saints as well. He's made 22 interceptions in his 5 seasons, so he has a pedigree. But the bigger news for the Panthers is after having his best game of the season, Cam Newton has to decide that he wants to make a dumb comment. Not that anybody that works in media or has to talk, you make dumb comments, right? We've all said something we aren't proud of, or said something that maybe we shouldn't say, but this is a guy that's going to be scrutinized. This is the quarterback of a team, and with all the things that are going on right now in the world, political correctness is about the number one thing that should be in your head when you are doing any kind of a press conference right now. People are jumping to try to find anything to get mad about. And look, this is a legit get mad about it. And as a person that has a daughter, wife, live with to other women, it is insulting to have a female reporter ask a legit question about Devin Funchess and really nail it on his routes, and Cam Newton responds with, "It's funny to hear a woman talk about routes." Cam Newton, do you not know that we all have NFL Game Pass now? We can all watch the All 22 and literally see a route being run and figure out that that's a route. I mean, if you can't tell in full and in real time, you can slow the game down and know that a route is being run. I mean, come on now, man. It's just stupid. It's just stupid.
Now, I am going to say, in further info that I found out about the particular reporter, she's said, tweeted, retweeted things that are a lot worse.
Right.
But I'm still going on Cam for, okay, what you said, it wasn't terrible in the grand scheme, but still think before you speak.
Yeah, just answer the person's question. I mean, it's unnecessary. Like, just answer the person's question.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter who asks it. That's what you're supposed to do. It's just answer the person's question. If you don't want to answer it, don't answer it. You do say a lot more by not answering her question and then going and answering a male reporter's question or whatever. But it's just like, that's almost, less than what you brought too much unwanted attention to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And then not only that, he lost the sponsorship because of it. The Dannon Oikos protein whatever yogurt, the Greek yogurt sponsorship that he has been in some funny commercials. The one I can remember the most is the one with the nerdy guy where he's there with cheerleaders, and he makes it seem like by eating this yogurt you're going to get strong and the women are going to flock to you or whatever, and
That
then he makes a
commercial,
joke about the guy because he's so nerdy and ugly, I guess, that doesn't matter, that's not going to help him. But
that commercial made me so angry.
why?
You don't have any idea how many times I go to the store and especially get drinkable yogurt and drinkable Greek yogurt because of that commercial. And it's like, hello? Really? Come on now. I've been working out too. I'm not like that guy.
Yeah. I like the Greek yogurt. I'll get I like those flip Greek yogurts. Those are pretty good. But
Yeah.
they're also sort of expensive, so I get maybe 2 or 3 and that's it.
Well,
But
I've been a Dasani guy anyways. Or Chobani, rather.
yeah, Publix also doesn't sell Dasani. So or is it's Dannon, I think I don't know which one they don't sell. But anyway,
I don't know what Publix you're shopping at. They sell them all at the one near my house.
No, there's one that they don't sell. There's a brand they do not sell, which I can't remember right now. I think it is Dannon that they don't. Like the purple colored ones, at least by where I live, most of
Yeah,
the Publix
that's just
don't.
the one where you live. I see them all the time.
But yeah, anyway, enough talk about yogurt. This sponsor was mad enough to say that, they haven't terminated their sponsorship with the league. They're just removing any advertising with him on it, even though I did see the commercial air today. I don't know that they were just not able to remove everything fast enough.
No, usually in situations like this, it takes a little bit of time.
Yeah, it does. It's just, look, when you do something like that, it's just, yeah. She also had to apologize for retweeting offensive tweets. She apparently had offensive tweets from 4 to 5 years ago. This is why when you start becoming a media reporter or any kind of public figure, you need to go into your tweet catalog and delete everything that might be offensive.
Or make your account private and create a separate account.
Yeah, that too. But I'm just saying, like, come on, people. How many times has this happened now? All over the spectrum of sports. It's happened many times in wrestling where people didn't get jobs because they found offensive tweets. People have gotten fired for offensive tweets. Brother and a woman that decided she wanted to support Nazis 4 to 5 years ago. I mean, it's just like, honestly, just you gotta be smart. I get it. It's like when you have a leak, that stuff gets in the cloud. You forget that it happened because it's freaking 5 years ago. Who remembers every tweet you had 5 years ago? But because you don't remember, that's why you have to go back, and as soon as you get that new job where you're going to be a more public figure, you got to go and start deleting, because people just love to do that. And this is exactly what people do. When you get put in the media like that, that's the first thing people do, is go try to see if you have tweets where you were offensive as well, so they can get back at you. But I think it just takes away from what she's trying to say. And I commend the NFL for coming out and saying that's just plain wrong and disrespectful to the exceptional female reporters and all the journalists who cover the league. So good on the league for coming out and saying it. Now, this is funny because Cam apologized via video.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, he understands that his word choice was degrading and disrespectful to women, and that wasn't his intention. He apologized to anybody that took offense. He tries to make a platform that's, positive. But this is the one I don't understand. You're a father to 2 beautiful daughters.
Yep.
What? Hello? Like, that's the first one to me. Like, you're a dad to daughters. Like, this is now something that though your daughters can go back and see that. I get it, the NFL culture, it's a male-dominated culture or whatever, but this is not like, we have had female sideline reporters and female reporters for a long time now.
You have a strong contingent of female fans. You have female reporters. You're getting more female leagues. It's really, again, think before you speak.
Yep. Think before you speak. It is very, and this is not like it was in a heat of this is after a game or whatever. This is a middle of the week press conference. Like, or not middle of the week, but still, this is a day after, 2 days after. Like, come on, man. Just gotta think more before speaking. But I forgot to mention during the breakdown there, the TNF breakdown, Bill Belichick now has won in every NFL city after defeating Tampa. That was the only city he had not won in before.
City. And Tom joins Brett Favre and high most regular season wins by a quarterback. Brady has the best winning percentage of the 3 of them.
Oh, pretty cool record there for Mr. Brady. All right, so let's we're done talking about bad statements. Let's talk about the NFL games happening this weekend. And hold on.
Can I just say something about this week's 1 o'clock window?
Yes.
I am seeing very few watchable games in this slate.
Oof, yeah, there's some games, let me tell you, I don't think people want to watch. But yeah, we'll have to get through them anyway. Let's start with the game that people thought would be the game we had last week, the battle of 0-4 teams, but that is not the case. The New York Jets are 2-2, although they have not won away from MetLife Stadium this year against the 0-4 Cleveland Browns. Josh McCown, revenge game? Much, but
yeah, you mean just like it was a revenge game against Jacksonville. The man's played for like 10 different teams.
I feel like most recently, though, people remember his stint with the Browns, I think. That being said, this Jets defense has certainly stepped up in the last couple of weeks. I feel like this might be their first win away from home, and they're going to have a winning record. Because I just have no faith in this Browns team at all.
After what happened against Cincinnati, I tried, but no. Jets, Jets. Mark the tape, because I'm probably never going to say that again this season.
You are, yep, I will certainly mark that. Where is that? Yep, around the 31-minute mark. I will try to remember that. We do have a battle of 0-4s, just two different teams. The Los Angeles Chargers going into MetLife Stadium to play the New York Giants. Oh boy. The Giants have to win this game. I don't think there is any other. I mean, the Chargers have to win this game as well. But I don't think there's any excuse for the Giants here. You have the receivers to get through on this defense. Now, can the offensive line deal with Melvin Ingram and Joey Bosa? And that's a problem. But they're kind of soft in the middle, and the secondary is missing Verrett still. And I would imagine that with the secondary that the Giants have, you should be able to limit Keenan Allen and therefore limit the Chargers' offense a bit.
Yeah, but at the same time, I see the Giants as somewhat of a bad team. I see the Chargers.
I mean, I don't know how you can not be a bad team and be 0-4, but
right. But my point is, you have a bad team in the Giants going against just a very unlucky team in the Chargers. And I honestly think, yes, even though they're in the Eastern time zone, it's not StubHub. I think if you're going to break the hoodoo at some point and finally win a close game, this is going to be it.
So you're going with the Chargers?
I am going with the Chargers.
I think the Giants at home with all the pressure, there's going to be a lot of questions. Ben McAdoo is going to be under a lot of fire. You lose to a team that should be very winnable.
Well, simple. If McAdoo winds up starting the season 0-5, maybe 0-6, he's out the door.
No, you're not wrong. I'm saying that because of all that, because Eli Manning's been playing rather well considering, after all that talk, after the first couple of weeks, he's really come back. And, the defense has been wishy-washy here more than, in at least last year. They've got a point to prove. I think this is the Giants, and I wouldn't be surprised if they win by a touchdown, honestly.
All right. You say so. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just not seeing it from this team.
The Indianapolis Colts at home. Jacoby Brissett against Brian Hoyer, who's been challenged by his coach that he needs to play better. Certainly he does.
Is this another one of those...
Go ahead.
Is this another one of those games where we can finally get a tie and get it over with? Because, come on.
Why do you want a tie? Those are
For things
awful.
like this, does either team really deserve to win this game?
Well, maybe they will show it in the game. Let's not keep judging them based off the week before. Every week is different in the NFL. We know this.
I'm not just judging them off of the week before. I'm judging them off of the entire season. Okay, the Niners have come closer a couple of times. Maybe they get over the hump.
Colts actually have a win. I mean, I'm just saying.
And
I'm saying they have a win. They won this year. The 49ers have not. I'm going to say the Colts win.
I'm going to say the Chargers win on the last play of overtime. And again, if it's a tie, so
the
be it.
49ers?
Yes.
You did pick the Chargers in the last game, so I will give you a break.
Chargers, Niners, they're California teams that suck. What's really the difference except colors?
Touche, sir. Touche. So, let's start talking about actual good games here. What Cincinnati Bengals team are we going to get as they go home where they have not won this season against a Buffalo Bills team that is surprising everyone? This Bengals team look more like the Bengals we used to know.
Yeah, and they're going to look like that again. I'm sorry. I'm going to see more of the team that didn't score a touchdown in 2 games rather than a team that beat the Browns 31-7.
They played well against the Packers, don't forget.
Yeah, but still, they had a 21-0 lead and found a way to blow it?
True. Very true. I'm going to give the Bengals benefit of the doubt here. I'm going to say the Bengals win. It'll be close. I feel like A.J. Green's going to bring it home, though, and he's going to get that either a catch to put him in position for a field goal or just get that touchdown that winds up winning the game. The Bills have won against some tough competition. They could very easily be 4-0 and undefeated right now if it wasn't for a Zay Jones drop. I feel like this could be one of those where it's a trap game. You're going away. Cincinnati's looked better under Bill Lazor. And, hey, it could happen. It could happen here.
Yeah, Bills are going to go 4-1. The Bengals, no. Now, granted, it's not going to be a blowout, but yeah, A.J. Green is going to get a semi-garbage time catch to make the score a little closer. Bills are going to take this one, though.
At home, the Detroit Lions taking on the Carolina Panthers, a battle of 3-1 teams.
Now we're finally talking.
Panthers undefeated on the road so far.
Not for long.
Amir Abdullah has been the catalyst, I feel like, for the Lions as far as getting that running game going, balancing that team out. Obviously, the Panthers are now starting to understand that you can't just force the ball to Christian McCaffrey. They kind of went back to what they do well. The Lions front, though, is a problem for that. And also you got a secondary of hungry guys that are going to be chomping at the bit to get at Benjamin and Funchess and the rest of the guys there. I like them more than the Carolina secondary. Panthers defense is really good too. It could just easily be a 19-16 game or whatever, one similar to the one we saw on Thursday Night Football here, or it could be a shootout again.
I'm leaning more closer to that 1916 game, and in a situation like that, I can't bet against Matt Stafford because how he's prone to just coming back late in games and sealing them. So I'm going to go with Detroit in this one.
Yeah, that's exactly why I'm going with the Lions as well. I think At the end of the day, I'm going to put the ball in Matt Stafford's hands and let's see what happens. Let's not forget they were an overturned call away from being undefeated right now. So then you got the Battle of the Birds. Arizona Cardinals, 2-2, trying to get into a winning record, going against the Philadelphia Eagles, who have looked really good this season. It's in Lincoln Financial Field, which I think really gives the Eagles an advantage. You're having to make a trip for the Cardinals all the way to the East Coast. That matters a bit. The way LeGarrette Blount's been running recently, I feel like the Cardinals are going to get hit big time by the run game, opening ability for Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz, and the rest, Carson Wentz, to get things going. Cardinals can certainly keep up, but that Eagles front's scary.
Very scary, and Carson Palmer is not the same Carson Palmer we've seen the last couple of years. I think this is more the version of him that we've seen in Oakland. It's not going to cut it this week. Wentz is getting together way too many weapons, and this offense is starting to become way too well-rounded for someone like Arizona to stop. I'm taking the Eagles.
Taking the Eagles as well. Dolphins and Titans. What is the status of Marcus Mariota right now? Looks like he's probably not going to play, is what it seems like.
Well, I mean,
they did just sign Brandon Weeden.
Oh God,
he's gonna make that team so much. No, I'm joking.
I mean, if I wasn't dealing with Jay Cutler, I would pick the Dolphins, but I don't know. Matt Castle, he might pull one out of his bum. I'm going to go on a whim and pick the Titans here.
I feel like this is almost just what the doctor ordered for Miami. Probably not playing Mariota. You got the pick between Matt Castle or Brandon Weeden, the two Cowboys backups that couldn't do jack, and, well, you know what the other end of that is. And I feel like with all this media around Adam Gase and Jay Cutler and everybody else, I feel like Jay Ajayi could get going. The Dolphins' offense has got to muster something. They got to muster something. That defense could certainly stifle a DeMarco Murray or Derrick Henry and really force Matt Castle or Brandon Weeden or whoever's going to throw the ball for the Titans to have to throw. And I feel like that gives Miami an advantage. Even if it's a freaking 13-10 game, you just got to get the win. And at home, you've been away from home for how long? Miami.
Another one that could potentially be a tie.
Yep, that too. But let's hope not. I don't want to see ties. They're awful in the NFL.
No, they're not.
No bueno.
Remember, the NFL did not institute regular season overtime until 1974 for a reason. They went along for over a half century without it, and even when they did, the Broncos and Steelers played to a 35-35 tie.
I'm not saying the game is bad. I'm saying it's bad. It works in the beautiful game that we watch called soccer. It does not work in this game. That is why everybody else has overtime where, they figure out something how to win. The NFL just, But luckily,
this season, it's going to happen. We're going to get at least one.
Wouldn't be surprised, but let's hope not. Anyway, your Jacksonville Jaguars, they're going into Heinz Field, where the Steelers play so much better, usually offensively. They did have an offensive explosion, mainly Le'Veon Bell against the Ravens. Yeah, I'm going to go with the Steelers on this one. That Steelers defense has been continually improving. They're going to have a field day with Blake Bortles.
Sean, I'm just going to ask one question. Is this game in the Eastern time zone?
Yes.
I'm picking the Steelers. Moving on.
You are not wrong at all for doing that. This game is in Oakland, and it's the Ravens coming into town to play the Oakland Raiders. This is a game that feels like Derek Carr is missing, and that should be some help for Joe Flacco, even though you are still having to... Look, he's back at practice, but I just can't imagine that you play him.
No.
You got to be safe here and just not play him.
This is an E.J. Manuel game, but I honestly think he'll win this one.
This is another one that could go down to a tie. E.J. Manuel has a bad game.
You see what I mean?
This is hard. I'm going to pick the Ravens. I feel like E.J. Manuel's going to cost them the game. He does have wonderful talent around him, which he did not have in Buffalo. At least the same caliber talent, but I'm gonna say the Ravens. Let's not forget the Ravens defense can play when they feel like it. It's just
emphasis on when they feel like it. I mean, come on, really?
Again, yeah. So I should mention that this is the first week of byes. So no Atlanta Falcons, Denver Broncos, New Orleans Saints, or Washington Redskins this week. So, luckily for Josh Norman, who has a small bruise on his lung, along with a rib injury, he gets the rest of that this week. So some big games, some very big games the rest of the way that we're going to talk about here. One that could easily put a nice little dent in the standings for the NFC West, or things get right back into wide open territory. And it also depends on what Arizona does in their game. But if the Seahawks can get to 3-2 and make the Rams go down to 3-2, three-way race already for that NFC West. Gonna be interesting. This is away from home. It's in the Coliseum, where the Rams did suffer their only loss this year. The Seahawks have not won away from home.
Hawks. I don't see this Rams offense, even with Jared Goff getting more comfortable. Todd Gurley may have a day, but look at a lot of your outside threats.
Yeah, but also we're still talking about one of the worst offensive lines in the entire league. And look at how they clamped down on Dallas last week in that second half. They do that to that offensive line. Russell Wilson, I know he does great running around. I just think that's going to be a problem.
I mean, yeah, I think it's going to be a problem, but I think if anybody, the Hawks are in the position to make the most.
And not to mention the Rams have been that team, that bogey team for the Hawks. So they've lost to them more often than not.
Well aware, but things are bound to change. I think the Hawks can take this one because they need to make the fewest tweaks to account for that Rams line. Because they run the read option, you're going to see it a lot more, and you're going to see some different packages.
Yeah, but no Chris Carson now, though.
No,
Eddie Lacy looked okay coming in.
Do they still have Pro Size? Or is it just going to be...
Yeah, it's Rawls and Lacy, I think they're going to be running, probably.
Oh, crap.
They still have Pro Size, but it's going to be Lacy and Rawls running.
Pro Size better be getting in some action. Lacy, I can understand a little bit, but this isn't going to be a time where you need power running. And Procise, just like Carson, showed that extra bit of finesse. Pete, for the love of God, I hope you're listening. Put the gum down for a second and let's think this through.
Rams are winning at home. I think Jared Goff gets a big statement win, even if it's at the end, to beat the Seahawks and put a little distance between the Hawks and the Cardinals, and rightfully continue in that front spot. The big game of the week, the Dallas Cowboys at home against the Green Bay Packers. Oh boy. Returning to the scene of the crime. This one is difficult because you've got Aaron Rodgers against a secondary that is what it is at this point. They do get Nolan Carroll back, and it looks like Cheeto's going to be back as well, but they do get David Irving back in this game, which is very important for that Dallas line. They now have David Irving and DeMarcus Lawrence. It's not just DeMarcus Lawrence. You can't really double team him anymore because you're going to have to worry about David Irving because he can go inside and out. He actually had a pretty big game against the Packers, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
But Rodgers does great when he's flushed out of the pocket, so it doesn't really matter. I worry about the Cowboys being able to defend against all those receivers. That's just so many weapons, plus Ty Montgomery, who looks like he's going to be on his way back. And
Mm-hmm. I mean, with the secondary, Skandrick again with the injury bug hitting, and with this one, I don't think that they can really contain the Packers receivers, especially when they go deep. And Aaron Rodgers, you flush him out and you unleash his arm, you're going to get torched.
Yeah, I think Zeke will get yards in this one.
Mm-hmm.
But I think people have started to figure out that all you have to do is contain Cole Beasley and contain Witten on third downs, force Dak to have to throw it to somebody else, and that creates problems. And I think that is going to continue here. And we might see Dak be a little bit more efficient, but I just feel like if you're going to get into a shootout with somebody, Aaron Rodgers is one of the worst guys to get into a shootout with, especially when your defense is just there's a lot of questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the Packers coming into Dallas and winning.
Yeah, they got into a shootout against the Rams. Look what happened. I'm taking Green Bay in this one as well.
Ooh, Sunday night game. Can Deshaun Watson at home defeat the last undefeated team in the league? These two teams have a lot of history, playoff history as well. And the first time that they're having to deal with Deshaun Watson, though, I feel like...
Okay, I'm going to answer your question real quick. The short answer is no. The long answer is no.
I will say Will Fuller made a difference last week.
Mm-hmm.
That's somebody you have to contend with if you're the Texans. And, hey, that front line of J.J. Watt and company going to have to... That's a problem for Kareem Hunt. How do you get through that? I mean, that offensive line's been doing great for the Chiefs, and the good thing about the Chiefs is they've been, okay, we'll get through the first half, and then we'll blow it up in the second. I don't want to do this, but I'm going to call upset. I think the Texans are going to win Sunday Night Football.
No, I'm sticking with the Chiefs.
All right.
It's going to be a scary one, but I'm still going to stick with the Chiefs.
Monday Night Football divisional matchup. The Chicago Bears at home, Soldier Field. Mitchell Trubisky making his NFL debut against Case Keenum and the Minnesota Vikings. And that vaunted defense, let's not forget, very, very stifling defense still. and the Bears really don't have receivers. So that's another problem. We did see Mitchell Trubisky move it around in the preseason, but that's the preseason.
Yeah, he still had Victor Cruz, and
Yep.
he was still at the point to where only half
Why
of
didn't they re-sign him again?
I still don't know. That boggles my mind. I mean,
Which Case Keenum are we going to get? That's the problem.
you're probably going to get the good one.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, do you really trust, even with John Fox, this Chicago defense? I don't.
No. I think Trubisky is going to have moments of where he's going to look really good, and people are going to see what they saw in him when they drafted him, what you saw in the preseason. I think the Vikings defense, so that's really hard.
Yeah, Trubisky is going to be predictable. Very predictable. Yeah. And the Vikings are going to figure out that predictable almost immediately. This one could potentially be low scoring. I don't think it will. I'm calling for a blowout. Purple people eaters.
I don't think it'll be a blowout because I think Keenum might cause them some trouble too. But yeah, I'm gonna say the Vikings, who also signed Stephen Ridley to Ale, and no Dalvin Cook in this game. Latavius Murray, much different runner. So could they create a problem where, if they can't run the ball as well, put a lot of pressure on Case Keenum?
I think Ridley's probably going to get more work than people think.
Probably, but I'll say the Vikings somehow get the win. They actually have receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that matters. All right, let's go into the college picks. Let's get it. Lots of games that could have a big impact on the top 25. Of course, you can go read our Week 5 top 25 on the website right now, w2net.com. Make sure you go check that out. We'll try to get the Week 6 up on Sunday as quickly as possible. But like I said, big games, including 3 at the 10:30 or later spot with 3 ranked teams. That is going to make us all have to stay up late. Always got to love those games.
Strongbow night for me.
Mm-hmm. So, Georgia Bulldogs taking on the Vanderbilt Commodores. Next, Georgia.
Yeah. Do I have to really pick this one? I mean, as is, my dream is on the verge of being dashed here.
Well, your dream of Nashville actually getting a soccer team? Because that seems very plausible at this point.
Yeah, no, my dream is them not getting a team. But, hey.
Hey, that stadium.
Would it be presumptuous if I go ahead and burn their jersey as soon as I can? Because, I mean, that is a trendy thing right now.
God. Yeah, Georgia is going to win. Vanderbilt might put up a bit of a fight, but I feel like...
No.
This team is just, they're bowling over people. LSU has looked not very good. Not that Florida has looked dominant or anything, but I trust the Florida defense at the Swamp, where they're going to be honoring the late, awesome, great Tom Petty. Florida Gators. Chomp chomp.
Yeah, they're going to be running down a dream in this one. Gators.
Certainly. Minnesota, PJ Fleck, losing his first game, but he gets to go in and take on Purdue, who have looked interesting this year. I feel like Minnesota can get the win, though.
So do I. I'm not seeing a whole lot from Purdue. Yeah, it's the land of 10,000 lakes. You're going to see a lot more boats rolling this season.
Miami, if this game gets played, because there's still going to be hurricane weather hitting Tallahassee. A lot of rain. Against Florida State, Miami rolling along.
This one is going to go on as scheduled from the recent reports because really, Miami, Florida State, what's a little rain going to hurt? Now, my Canes are favored, which is usually a bad sign against Florida State, but I'm going to go with them in this one.
I'm going with them too. I did not like what we got out of the... Yeah, they won that one game, but aside, the NC State loss just didn't look good for them.
Hey, NC State beat Louisville, so...
Yes, they did beat them tonight. They're going to be rising in our rankings, certainly, and Louisville might even drop out completely, depending on what happens. So, yeah, stay tuned for that one. I'm sure they will make a heavy drop in all the other polls as well. And Kansas State, trying to continue on and only have that one loss going into Austin against Texas. Texas has got the big game against Oklahoma next week as well, so tough sledding between these two next two fixtures they got.
I think State takes this one. Texas is going to be caught looking ahead.
I think they got to look at this one seriously. K-State is still somebody you don't want to mess with in the Big 12 right now. I think Texas with the upset. Why not? Michigan State taking on a Michigan team that was off last week. I feel like Michigan somehow gets through this one, though.
Sparty ain't going to get that miracle punt, botch, snap, fumble gimmick again. Not this time. Go Blue.
Wisconsin taking on Nebraska for the who's leading. They're in the south, east, west, right?
Yeah, the Big Ten West.
Yes. So whoever's leading the West.
Yeah,
is who wins this game.
Remember the Big Ten. Your Eastern time zone schools in Indiana, East. All your other Central time zone schools, West.
Yeah. Wisconsin for me. They haven't looked like so convincing all the time, but they've been playing well. Nebraska's just looked all out of sorts in several games. I'm going to go with Wisconsin. Wi-Fi problem for Eric here. So I'll just keep going since we're at the end. We got the Stanford and Utah game. This one could be interesting. 10-15 start for that one. I feel like Utah can get it done, though, but watch out. Upset alert on that. And also, another upset alert. Oregon lost Arizona State, but that team is very capable of keeping up in points. It's in Oregon. I got to say Washington State, though, is going to take care of business and continue to be undefeated, but watch it. Just watch it with that game.
Look, and on any kind of a shootout in this case, I love me a Mike Leach offense. Wazoo.
And the big game, it's in the Big 12. West Virginia coming in to Fort Worth, Amon Carter Stadium, taking on the undefeated TCU Horned Frogs, the number 8 ranked TCU Horned Frogs. Who do you got? I mean, West Virginia, they lost that first game again in the season by a point.
Mm-hmm.
They've played cupcakes since then, so their record's a little tainted. TCU does have that big upset over Oklahoma State.
This is also a TCU team that SMU hung tough with them for a little over 3 quarters. I got the Mountaineers in an upset.
I'm going to go with TCU. I feel like they wind up pulling it out. It's in Fort Worth. They're going to have that crowd behind them and everything. But should be an interesting one, certainly. I'm going to be really looking forward to this game. It's early. It's 3:30. So I'll be at work, but see how that goes. All right. So that's it for the show. If you like what you heard, please hit the subscribe button. You'll get both the shows we do each week. We do one on Thursday night after Thursday Night Football. Of course, you just heard that. And we do one after Monday Night Football where we not only recap the M&F game, we'll also look at the rest of the weekend as well. And for the rest of our stuff, Erik's Point of Viewer, we just had a Soccer to the Max previewing the Under-17 World Cup that begins in mere hours, and the rest of the soccer world that's going to be looking at these, South America already is giving people scares. Argentina legitimately may not qualify from the looks of things.
That. Boy. Soccer to the Max is going to have interesting. Now,
it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's a little bit worse than a coin flip.
That Tuesday night show is going to be fire because we're going to know who's all in the World Cup that night. So except for the African nations, but the rest of them we're going to know. Other than any playoffs that got to take place. But all right. Until Monday night. We'll see you later, everybody.
Peace.
The following podcast is a W2M Network original production. Visit W2Mnet.com for all of our other great podcasts, plus news, reviews, articles, and opinions from the worlds of wrestling, video games, football, and entertainment.